Thank you for joining me. My name is Gray, and as you can see, I am in transit, but I thought still take a few minutes to share with you Psalm 78. I'm still going on in this journey in the book of Psalms, and today 78 is a maskil of Asaph, and it really is just a history lesson of the history of the Israelites, but with God and on their interactions. So let's jump in and see what we can learn. Verse 1, my people, hear my teaching, listen to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth with a parable. I will utter hidden things from old. So he's starting to say that these are the things that he's going to do. He's going to talk about the things from old, the things that his ancestors had not told him. And the reason why he wants to do this is saying that he wants so that our descendants will know. Will know the statutes that Jacob had agreed with God, and the laws that they came through Moses, and he's going to tell them to his children so that they also put their trust in God and not be rebellious like the ancestors. That's something I just want us to pick. The reason why he wants to tell the children is that they do not rebel as the others did. You and I, not you and I, but most people that I see have problems sitting down and really telling their children about God. They take them to church, and that's fine. But when they come home, they don't continue telling their children about church, and they wonder why their children are not following along their footpath. Plain and simple, because you did not teach them at home. Anyway, so it's important. So from verse 7, from verse 9, he starts this history lesson. The men of Ephraim, though armed with bows, turned back on the day of battle. So the men of Ephraim is not only necessarily about the tribe of Ephraim, but in this instance, he's talking about the whole nation of Israel. So sometimes it's called Israel, sometimes Jacob, but in this instance, he's talking about Ephraim. But sometimes when they say Ephraim, they also mean the tribe of Ephraim. So from here, he starts recounting all the things that they did wrong, despite all the miracles that they saw, the parting of the seas, the cloud by night, the fire by day, but the cloud by night. He says all of those, they saw that, but they continued to sin. Now, if you've been listening to me, one thing I always mention about the book of Psalms is there is always a but. And that's a turning point in David's life, in Asaph's life, how they start crying out and they say, but God. In this chapter, there's a lot of buts, but it's different. The but here is, but they continue to sin against him. Despite what God did for the people of Israel, they continue to sin against him, and that is throughout. He talks about how they cried out for meat, he gave it to them, but they continue to sin. In verse 32, in spite of all of this, they kept on sinning. They did not, in spite of his wonders, they did not believe. So, what can we learn from this, you and I, is really something that we always do, don't we? Because we have known, we have seen, we have heard, we have read about the goodness, the mercy, the grace of God, and yet when we are in trouble is when we remember Him. But when things start to go right, we don't. And here somewhere it talks about how they came back to God, but they only flattered Him with their lips and not with their hearts. And that's what we do. We remember, oh, God got me through this. And He just says, yes, God, thank you, amen. And you continue going on doing the things that you always do. Brothers and sisters, this is a lesson for the Israelites, but it's also for you and me to see just how faithful God is, how He had been faithful for them, that despite all these things, time and time again, He came back to rescue them. They repented, but 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, I'm at the airport, what can I say? 5 minutes later, they went back and started doing these things. So you and me, let's not do this. Let's not have but God, where but God is God continue to test Him. But our but God is God came through for us, and we are walking in His light constantly. The chapter finishes with the emergence of David. Verse 7, they chose David his servant and took him from the sheep pens. Da, 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 da. Verse 72 says, and David shepherded them with integrity of heart, with skillful hands he led them. My prayer is that you and me be like David in terms of how he led the nation. But unlike David, we also teach our children to follow on our paths. God bless you.